Welcome back. Let's go get you these visuals from Palam Technical Airport at New Delhi, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi has touched down India after concluding his three-nation visit, first to Cyprus, then to Canada for the G7 summit. And after that, Prime Minister Narendra Modi went to Croatia, becoming the first Indian Prime Minister to attend the Croatia meeting after the year 1991, which was a really historic and a very productive meeting. Rather, all the three country meetings of the Prime Minister were really productive. Prime Minister Narendra Modi concluded that highly successful and productive three-nation visit, as we just mentioned, Cyprus, Canada and Croatia. And these are the visuals that we are getting you. These are the latest and the fresh visuals that we are getting you from New Delhi's Palam Technical Airport, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi has touched down India after concluding the three-nation successful visit to Cyprus, Canada and Croatia, marking a very significant milestone in the bilateral relationship between the three countries. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's first stop was Cyprus, followed by Canada, where he attended the G7 summit, and then Croatia, making it the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to visit Croatia after the year 1991. During all three nations' visits, several MOUs were exchanged and signed. Several collaborations were understood between both the parties. And not only this, bilateral relationship were flourished at different levels between all three countries and India. And not only this, very unanimously, all the leaders of the three countries stood with India's stand against terrorism and supported India's fight against terrorism, condemning the Pahalgam terror attack that took place earlier. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also reiterated at the various meetings at the various platforms where he was a part during the three-nation visit that this is not an era of war, and dialogue and diplomacy is the only key. And after concluding the three-nation successful visit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has successfully touched down in India. So, in a significant milestone in India's foreign policy, Prime Minister Narendra Modi became the first Indian leader to visit Croatia after 1991. The visit marks a pivotal advancement in India's outreach to Central Europe, highlighted by key diplomatic engagements, strategic partnerships and meaningful gestures aimed at strengthening bilateral cooperation. Here's a report that takes you through the tour of Prime Minister's three-nation visit. Take a look.
In a historic first, Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Croatia, scripting a new chapter in India's diplomatic outreach to Europe. Meeting his counterpart, Prime Minister Andrej Plenković in Zagreb, the two leaders underscored their shared democratic values and mutual aspiration for stronger bilateral ties. Together, they unveiled an ambitious roadmap for cooperation, pledging to elevate India-Croatia relations to new heights. From defense and semiconductors to connectivity and cultural exchange, the discussions covered a broad spectrum. 4 key MOUs were signed, spanning agriculture, science and technology, culture, and the renewal of a Hindi chair.
हमने द्विपक्षीय व्यापार को बढ़ाने और विश्वसनीय सप्लाई चेन तैयार करने के लिए कई क्षेत्रों में सहयोग बढ़ाने का निर्णय लिया है। हम फार्मा, एग्रीकल्चर, इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी, क्लीन टेक्नोलॉजी, डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी, रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी, सेमीकंडक्टर, ऐसे कई महत्वपूर्ण विषयों में सहयोग को बढ़ावा देंगे। शिप बिल्डिंग और साइबर सिक्योरिटी में सहयोग बढ़ाया जाएगा। हमने अपने एकेडमिक इंस्टीट्यूशंस और सेंटर्स के बीच जॉइंट रिसर्च और कोलैबोरेशन पर बल दिया है। भारत अपने स्पेस अनुभव को क्रोएशिया के साथ साझा करेगा।
Prime Minister Modi expressed deep appreciation for Croatia's steadfast support in India's fight against cross-border terrorism. In turn, Prime Minister Plenković conveyed condolences over the tragic Pahalgam attack.
हम सहमत हैं कि आतंकवाद मानवता का दुश्मन है, लोकतंत्र में विश्वास रखने वाली शक्तियों का विरोधी है। 22 अप्रैल को भारत में हुए आतंकी हमले पर संवेदनाओं के लिए हम प्रधानमंत्री जी और क्रोएशिया सरकार के हार्दिक आभारी हैं। ऐसे कठिन समय में हमारे मित्र देशों का साथ हमारे लिए बहुत मूल्यवान था। हम दोनों सहमत हैं कि आज के वैश्विक वातावरण में भारत और यूरोप की साझेदारी बहुत महत्व रखती है।
We have also talked about Indian efforts to conclude the free trade agreement with the European Union, which Croatia supports. We believe that these negotiations will finalize as soon as possible, negotiations about free trade agreement, because that will strengthen our cooperation and it will facilitate easier trade between Croatia and India.
Reaffirming their commitment to democratic values and global peace, PM Modi also met Croatian President Zoran Milanovic, laying the foundation for a renewed partnership. In a poignant moment, Prime Minister Plenković showed Prime Minister Modi the very site where a military rocket struck the presidential palace in 1991, an event that marked Croatia's secession from Yugoslavia. Honoring the spirit of freedom, the two leaders paid tribute at the monument to the homeland, a symbol of Croatia's resilience and unity. The visit also included a stroll through the heart of Zagreb, where Prime Ministers Modi and Plenković explored the city's rich cultural heritage and vibrant streets. More than just a diplomatic visit, Prime Minister Modi's presence in Croatia signals a deeper economic and strategic embrace between India and Europe. With Jessica Taneja, Bureau Report, DD India.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a bilateral meeting with the Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, on the sidelines of the G7 summit in Alberta. This was the first in-person interaction between the two leaders since Prime Minister Carney assumed the office. The President of Cyprus, Nikos Christodoulidis, conferred upon Prime Minister Narendra Modi Cyprus's honour the Grand Cross of the Order of Makarios III, which remained one of the very important highlights of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Cyprus. And to give you a rounded perspective on this, let's now go across to Mr. Ashok Sachinhar, the former senior diplomat, who joins us at this afternoon broadcast to decode this very important visit. Good afternoon, sir. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi completes a power-packed 3 Cs Cyprus, Canada and Croatia tour, strengthening not only bilateral ties, but putting forward India's strong stand against terrorism very loud and clear. To begin with, Croatia, which is a NATO member as well, shares rich cultural heritage with India, and also India signed several MOUs and collaboration in defence sector as well with Croatia. And not only this, Prime Minister also became the first ever Indian Prime Minister to visit Croatia since the year 1991. What message, according to you, it sends across to the European Union bloc especially?
Okay, thank you very much for having me on the show. Yes, it's been a very successful visit, this three-nation tour. As we know that the invitation for participation in G7, it came somewhat late, but then all these three-nation visit was put together. I think as far as the European Union is concerned, what you have mentioned, that India is very keen and very interested to have a broad-based, comprehensive strategic partnership with the European Union. We see that during this particular visit, of course, even in Alberta, Canada, Prime Minister Modi had a meeting with a large number of European leaders, whether it was with Mr. Macron, it's with the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, it's with the Chancellor of Germany, Friedrich Merz, and Keir Starmer of the UK. So these major countries, he was able to connect with them and to advance bilateral partnership with all of them. Here he has chosen these two countries, small countries, but very significant countries in terms of connectivity, in terms of the support that they have provided to India, Cyprus and Croatia. And if I could just add also that if you look at, this was the first visit outside the country by Prime Minister Modi after the Pahalgam terrorist attack and Operation Sindhu. Just before that, we had seen our External Affairs Minister. He went to Belgium, he interacted with EU leaders, he went to France, interacted with the national leadership there. And just before that, he had gone to Denmark, he had gone to Netherlands, and he had gone to Germany. The point I'm making in response to your question is that India is very focused on expanding its partnership. We have agreed that we will be able to sign the India-EU FTA by the end of this year. Your viewers and listeners would be aware that in February this year, we had the first ever visit by the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, along with her College of Commissioners. I say unprecedented because this sort of a visit has never taken place to any other country. So I think it reiterates, it demonstrates also the very strong and keen interest of Europe and European Union to also enhance its partnership with India. Tanvi.
Let's talk about Canada as well, sir, where we saw very flourishing multilateral meetings of Prime Minister Modi. PM not only did bilaterals, as you just mentioned, with participating nations, but also reiterated his stand on dialogue and diplomacy as well in the context of ongoing Iran, Israel and Russia-Ukraine conflicts. And it's not just a passing remark, but well heard by the stakeholders of all international forums, isn't it?
That's right. Meaning, of course, he reiterated it when he was speaking, when he was addressing the G7 plus outreach countries in Canada. But, even during his visits to Cyprus and to Croatia, he did mention that, the principled stand that India has taken, that this is not an era of war, and that all disputes should be resolved at the negotiating table through diplomacy and dialogue. The other point that he has been making consistently, you would recall, Tanvi, from the time that Prime Minister Modi met President Vladimir Putin of Russia in Samarkand in September of 22, that no resolution of any issue, any dispute can be found on the battlefield. So you have to be at the negotiating table. And this is exactly what he said in this context. And I think the other message that universally he gave in all his meetings was that terrorism is an action against humanity. It is not against any single country. Referring to Pahalgam, he said it was not an attack against India only. It was an attack against humanity, and the whole world needs to come together to fight the scourge of terrorism, because otherwise, if countries disregard it, then they will also suffer as a result of these terrorists whose influence would continue to grow if it is not checked in time.
Very rightly pointed out, sir, because when we talk about it, we saw how all the nations, they echoed India's stand against terrorism and its continuous fight against terrorism. Now let's talk about Cyprus as one of the major highlights as well, where Prime Minister Modi was bestowed with the highest honor. How do you see Prime Minister's Cyprus visit, considering its importance on European Union map, especially knowing the fact that Cyprus will hold the European Union Council presidency in the beginning of 2026?
That's right. Cyprus is going to hold this presidency for 6 months from 1st January 2026. I think the relations between the two countries are very strong. They are very vibrant. They are very deep-rooted. And, this was the first visit of an Indian Prime Minister after 23 years, the last having been by Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee in 2002. And the warmth was evident when we saw that the president of Cyprus, President Christodoulidis, he came to the airport to receive Prime Minister. And I think the body language was very illustrative, was very demonstrative. They were holding hands and, as if they were two very close friends. So I think in terms of the personal rapport, it was there. This was also reflected in, as you mentioned, the highest civilian award being given to Prime Minister Modi by the Cypriot people and by the Cypriot president on this occasion for the immense contribution that Prime Minister Modi has made to the strengthening of bilateral relations. And that was evident that both the countries are going to work together. I think the problems that Cyprus faces with Turkey are similar to the problems that India faces with Pakistan. Cyprus has always been supportive of the Indian position, whether it is against terrorism, it's India's membership of the UN Security Council, India's membership of the Nuclear Suppliers Group, and on all accounts. And of course, India also has been very supportive, even during its independence struggle. It got its independence from the United Kingdom in 1960. India was very supportive of its independence. Cyprus was a founding member of the non-aligned movement. So both the countries have really worked together. There is great understanding between the two. India has been very supportive of the Cypriot position on the whole issue of the Turkish Cypriot issue. I think all your viewers and listeners would be aware that Turkey had invaded Cyprus in 1974, and it has hived off about 1/3, 35% of the Cypriot territory and has occupied it. No other country recognizes it as such except Turkey. And India stands by the Cypriot position to resolve it in tune with the resolution of the United Nations Security Council.
Now, overall, this strong European Union visit not only strengthens India's foundation in European Union bloc, but also helps in enriching international relations, as we see. But how is this a boost for India's vision of becoming a developed nation by the year 2047, sir?
Yes, I think that is, first we've been talking about the India-EU FTA, which we are hoping to sign by the end of this year. And of course, both Cyprus and Croatia are very important members, and also many countries that Prime Minister met in Canada, they are also important members. So whether it is in terms of the technological exchanges, in terms of enhancing trade and investment, because I think with both these countries, Cyprus and Cypriot, to which there were the bilateral visits, what stands out is the focus on the 4 T's. That is trade, that is technology, that is talent, and that is tourism. So tourism helps, as far as these countries are concerned, in enhancing and promoting people-to-people contact, but also business contact also. And I think during my own years, I have seen, and I think that continues to be true, that countries are not really aware of the huge strides that India has made as far as technology is concerned, as far as trade is concerned. And I think these exchanges in terms of tourism, that will help to take that also forward. Trade, of course, is a very important element. With Cyprus, we have just about 137 million trade last year. With Croatia, we had about 300 million. Of course, from Cyprus, we have, it's one of the 10th largest investors in India, with more than $14 billion of investment since 2000. So trade and investment are very important. There are areas for bilateral cooperation in climate, in pharmaceuticals, in climate change, combating climate change, renewable energies. Right. So I think all these ideas, all these issues were discussed in Cyprus. India and Cyprus signed 4 agreements on agriculture, on fisheries, on culture, on science and technology. So I think focus, Tanvi, is on technology, and how technology going forward can catapult the relationship of India with these countries, as also with the European Union, give it a quantum jump and take it to the next level.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us and bringing us a rounded perspective on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's successful 3-nation visit. Time to take a short break, but still to come on the other side. Up next, we'll get you latest updates on India's Minister of Commerce and Industry's UK visit. IMD issues alert as per various weather changing patterns. After the break, we'll get you the recent ones as per the states. Hurricane Eric converts to an extremely dangerous Category 4 hurricane.
geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Moving on. Amid escalating tensions in West Asia and the ongoing Iran-Israel conflict, India has launched Operation Sindhu to evacuate its nationals from the conflict zones in Iran. The first batch of 110 Indians, including 90 students from Jammu and Kashmir, have safely reached New Delhi. Evacuated citizens have thanked the Government of India and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Our next report gets you more details. Take a look.
In the early hours of Thursday, first group of 110 Indian nationals evacuated under Operation Sindhu landed in New Delhi. Operation Sindhu is a coordinated effort to evacuate Indian nationals from Iran amid growing regional unrest in West Asia. The evacuees included 90 students from the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. They made a challenging road journey to Armenian capital Yerevan under close supervision of Indian missions in Iran and Armenia.
We were hoping that there will be a swift action, and it did. The Ministry of External Affairs and the embassy in Iran, Indian embassy in Iran, they helped us a lot. And when they came to our doorsteps and they told us we are bringing you home, and it was like I felt so happy. And because airspace was closed, they firstly relocated us to Armenia through ground borders, and within one day they airlifted us back to India, to our home, to our soil, and we're very happy. And we would like to thank the government of India.
On June 18th, they boarded Indigo Flight 6E9487, which was specially arranged as part of the rescue operation. Their arrival in India marked conclusion of a crucial first step in a complex evacuation mission.
So we have planes ready. We'll be sending another plane today. We are evacuating some more people from Turkmenistan. Today another plane will be going. And our missions have opened a 24-hour line for any request for evacuation. And as the situation evolves, we'll be sending more planes, more chartered flights to evacuate all Indian nationals from Iran. Right now, there is no such requirement, and we see no such need for the Indian Air Force right now. And we are having a good cooperation from both Armenia and Turkmenistan in evacuating our Indian nationals. And I'd like to thank the government for the help they are giving us to evacuate our students and our nationals.
With hundreds of Indian nationals still stuck in Iran, Operation Sindhu will continue. Once again, reaffirming India's resolve that no citizen will be left behind in times of crisis. Tapas Bhattacharya's report for DD India.
DD India correspondent Taposh Bhattacharya also spoke exclusively to some of the evacuated Indian nationals. Take a listen.
110 Indian nationals have been evacuated from Iran and they have arrived in New Delhi's airport. Ma'am, what's your name?
Behishta Bashir Khan. I'm from Kashmir.
Okay. How many people are from Kashmir in this, in this particular flight? I believe a lot of people are there.
Yeah, more than 90.
More than 90.
Yeah.
And how does it feel when things were getting difficult and you guys were taken out from there?
First of all, grateful that we are here, landed safely.
All of a sudden, everything happened in a jiffy. We didn't know how we left Iran. We arrived in Armenia and then in India. So we are thankful to the Indian government and MEA.
We are very grateful and we are here, thank God, by the grace of God. And, it was very terrifying over there.
It is worth.
Yeah, it is worth. And we are happy to see our family. We will be happy to see our family.
What was your experience there? It was difficult to be there?
It was difficult because it was difficult because every night we see missile in the sky. Yeah. It was difficult for us. I just want to say thanks Indian government for evacuating us.
Yeah, what about you, sir? We have seen that Indian government has been helping Indian nationals. Prime Minister Modi has also been talking about that. What is your take on that?
We are so thankful to the Indian government for helping us out. It was so terrifying there, watching missiles all over the skies. We were so terrified. We thank the Modi government. We thank the Indian government and the embassy for helping us out.
That's the reaction coming in from the Indian nationals who were evacuated from Iran. Absolutely thankful to the government for getting them out of the kind of mess that was there in Iran right now. The situation is very complex out there. With Camera Person Naveen, this is Taposh Bhattacharya for DD India from Delhi.
Well, from the war zones to disaster-hit regions, the Modi government's rescue missions have brought thousands of Indians back home safely and timely. Be it Iraq, Yemen, Ukraine, Sudan or Iran, India's commitment to its diaspora stands firm, living up to the promises that no Indian will ever be left behind.
In a world shaken by wars, pandemic and natural disaster, one nation has stood tall in safeguarding its people. It's India. Whether it was the civil war in Iraq, the devastating earthquake in Nepal, or the deadly conflict in Yemen, the Modi government launched a swift, decisive rescue mission to bring Indians home safely. Operation Sindhu is the latest evacuation effort to evacuate Indian nationals from Iran. From Operation Matri to Rahat, from Sankat Mochan in South Sudan to Operation Devi Shakti in Taliban-held Afghanistan, no terrain was too tough, no crisis too big. During COVID-19, Operation Vande Bharat and Samudra Setu brought back millions. In Ukraine, the tricolor became a shield under Operation Ganga, rescuing thousands of Indian students. And most recently in Sudan and Israel, Operation Kavri and Ajay brought stranded citizens to safely amidst gunfire and chaos. Even foreign nationals found refuge in India's mission, a true reflection of Vishwa Bandhu, the friend of the world. In the word of Sushma Swaraj, even if you are stuck on Mars, Indian Embassy will help you. A decade of unwavering commitment, proving time and again that no Indian will ever be left behind. This is Taposh Bhattacharya for DD India from Delhi.
Moving on, India's Minister of Commerce and Industry, Piyush Goyal, is on a two-day official visit to the United Kingdom from Wednesday to take part in key meetings related to the India-UK Free Trade Agreement. During his visit, the minister held talks with UK Secretary of State for Business and Trade, Jonathan Reynolds, in London. The minister, in a social media post, termed the negotiation meeting as productive. He reiterated the shared goal of implementing the comprehensive and mutually beneficial free trade agreement that reflects the ambitions of both the nations. The minister also had an engaging discussion with the UK Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sports, Lisa Nandi. The leaders explored avenues for greater cultural collaboration and creative exchange, which is an essential pillar of vibrant UK and India bilateral relationship. Now, Minister Piyush Goyal on Wednesday highlighted the stability and predictability that the recently concluded India-UK Free Trade Agreement brings for businesses in both the countries. During a session at the India Global Forum UK-India Week titled Agreement to Action in the UK-India FTA in London, the minister shared his optimism around the good marriage agreed between both the countries, which will lead to bilateral trade doubling in 5 years.
Every country in the world has some competitive advantages over the other. There would be areas in which UK would be very strong and can add huge value to the India growth story. And there will be many sectors where India can add value to the UK growth story. We have to bring these complementarities to work together, to engage with each other. We've assessed the entire trade and business climate in both countries. There's hardly anything on which we really compete. We actually complement each other.
And now let's get you weather updates. The Indian Meteorological Department issued a yellow alert for Delhi NCR, predicting light to moderate rain, thunderstorms, lightning and windy conditions with 50 to 60 kilometers per hour of speed, especially during the night till Thursday. The southwest monsoon covered entire Jharkhand on Wednesday, bringing widespread rainfall that is likely to continue across the state till the 20th of June, with an orange alert which has been issued in Bihar. Further, a red alert was also issued in Assam and orange alert has been issued in bordering states in northeast India, warning of moderate to heavy rainfall and thunderstorms. As rains continued to lash parts of Kerala, normal life was disrupted in many parts, especially in central northern regions of the state, with river levels rising, homes getting inundated and hundreds being shifted to relief camps. As the monsoon intensifies across Gujarat, parts of the state are dealing with more than just a change in weather. The Indian Meteorological Department has issued an orange alert for Surat, Valsad and Bharuch, warning of heavy to very heavy rainfall in the coming days. Emergency teams have been deployed in the worst hit districts and authorities have urged the residents to stay indoors during intense spells of rain. Another update, Hurricane Eric has now converted to an extremely dangerous Category 4 hurricane. Forecasters warn that the system is undergoing rapid intensification and is expected to become a major hurricane later today. The hurricane is expected to bring potentially destructive winds and life-threatening flash floods to portions of southern Mexico late on Wednesday and Thursday. Time to take a short break, but still to come on the other side. Russian President Vladimir Putin says he is ready to meet Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Up next, we'll get you refreshing visuals of how the world is gearing up for International Yoga Day.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. After that short break, you're watching the India News Hour. It's now time to quickly recap the top headlines of the hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi concludes his three-nation visit to Cyprus, Canada and Croatia. Successful meeting with global leaders on the sidelines of G7 summit. Receives highest civilian honour of Cyprus, which is the top highlight of the trip. Operation Sindhu brings citizens back home. 110 Indian students safely evacuated from Iran on a special flight from Armenia. Government remains committed to the safety of Indian nationals abroad. Israel and Iran exchanged barrage of missiles amid reports of US moving military assets in West Asia. Trump says Iran's got a lot of trouble and wants to negotiate. Khamenei rejects Trump's ultimatum to surrender. Record 54 Indian institutes make a cut at World University Rankings 2026. IIT Delhi tops national list. PM Modi reaffirms government's commitment to furthering research and innovation ecosystem for the benefit of Indian youth. Well, Israel and Iran have exchanged barrage of missiles amid reports of US moving military assets in the West Asia. US President Donald Trump has not made clear decisions on how to proceed on Iran. Shalini Puri has more. Take a look. Missiles seen flying across the skies of Israel and the West Bank. Sirens were heard wailing across Jerusalem early on Thursday. There were similar scenes in Israel's Haifa. The worst ever conflict between the two regional powers has entered its seventh day. Iran has launched another missile attack in which high rises in central Tel Aviv were heavily damaged. Evacuations are taking place from the worst hit areas in both the regions. Iranians have been arriving at the eastern Turkish border city of Van to seek shelter from the intensifying strikes.
We hope these predicaments will come to an end as soon as possible and that all countries can solve the problems with each other, allowing people to live together in peace and happiness.
%80-%90'ını görmekteyiz.
The German Federal Foreign Ministry organized the first flight of 171 evacuees to evacuate German citizens and their close family members from Israel on Wednesday. People arriving in Frankfurt from Amman, Jordan, said they had to spend their last nights in Israel in bunkers.
Very exhausting and very tense. We usually had to go down to the shelter 3 times at night, but seeing what the people there are going through is actually the worst thing, especially because we can leave, but they stay here. And I have to say, they are incredibly strong.
Global leaders feel de-escalation is necessary to ease the tensions soaring in West Asia. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer spoke to the Amir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. Both echoed the need for de-escalation and diplomacy. US President Donald Trump says that he's not made a decision on how to proceed on Iran.
I have ideas as to what to do, but I haven't made a final. I like to make the final decision 1 second before it's due, because things change. I mean, especially with war. Things change with war. It can go from one extreme to the other.
Trump later said Iranian officials wanted to come to Washington for a meeting. He declined to say if he had made any decision on whether to join Israel's air campaign. He believed that Iran was close to developing a nuclear weapon before the attacks began.
Well, I don't want to get involved either, but I've been saying for 20 years, maybe longer, that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I've been saying it for a long time. And I think they were a few weeks away from having one. And they had to sign a document.
Iran has denied that it is seeking nuclear weapons and says its program is for peaceful purpose only. A week of missile strike has wiped out the top echelon of Iran's military command, damaged its nuclear capabilities and killed hundreds of people. Shalini Puri's report, DD India. And now update on the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Thursday said that he is ready to meet Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, but only if it is during a final phase of negotiations. During a roundtable discussion with editors from international news agencies on Wednesday, Putin said Russia wants to end the conflict in Ukraine as soon as possible through peaceful means. The Russian president said that Moscow remains open to substantive talks aimed at settling the conflict in Ukraine. However, Putin questioned Zelensky's legitimacy as a representative of Ukraine.
I am ready to meet everyone, including Zelensky. I am even ready to meet with him, but only if it is some kind of final phase, so as not to endlessly sit and divide something, but to put a point to it. However, the signature must belong to legitimate authorities.
In the United States now, an appeals court is reviewing whether it can limit President Donald Trump's power to send the National Guard and Marines there during protests and the unrest. About 700 Marines and roughly 4,000 National Guard troops have been called up and deployed to Los Angeles. Democratic California Governor Gavin Newsom was against the move, but the public also protested against the president's immigration raids. Lawyers for the Department of Justice have argued that Trump's decision to deploy troops was necessary in order to protect federal property and personnel from mob violence in the city, while the administration argues that the law, specifically Section 12406 of Title 10, gives the president sole discretion to determine whether a rebellion or danger of a rebellion requires a military response, and that neither the courts nor a state governor can second-guess that determination. US President Donald Trump's administration on Wednesday ordered the resumption of student visa appointments, but will significantly tighten its social media vetting in a bid to identify any applicants who may be hostile towards the United States, according to an internal State Department. Now, on the 27th of May, the Trump administration ordered its mission abroad to stop scheduling new appointments for students and exchange visitor visa applicants, saying the State Department was set to expand social media vetting of foreign students. A candlelight vigil was held outside the Minnesota state capitol, honoring the memory of state lawmaker Melissa Hotman and her husband Mark, who were tragically assassinated in their home on the 14th of June. The suspect, Vance Poulter, accused of killing Hotman and her husband, faces state and federal murder charges after a massive two-day manhunt. Poulter is also charged with shooting and injuring State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Wade in their home nearby. And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world in brief. New Zealand has suspended millions in budget funding to the Cook Islands as tensions grow between the two constitutionally linked nations. The move comes amid the Cook Islands strengthening ties with China. The funding freeze was revealed while New Zealand Prime Minister Christopher Luxon visits China ahead of key meetings with President Xi Jinping and Premier Lee Chiang. Thai Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra has issued a public apology after a leaked phone call with former Cambodian leader Hun Sen that sparked a political firestorm. The controversy has pushed her government to the brink of collapse, with hundreds of anti-government protests rallying outside the government house, demanding her immediate resignation. 10 critically endangered black rhinos have been relocated from South Africa to Mozambique's Sinawe National Park. The move, led by South African and Mozambican authorities in partnership with the Peace Parks Foundation, aims to establish the first viable black rhino breeding population in Mozambique in over 50 years. Now, yoga is about plugging into an uninterrupted source of power. India's Ministry of Ayush aims at integrating yoga into daily governance and office routines. Thus, it has argued that the yoga leaders to organize Yoga Sangam on the 21st of June and make sure the event is part of the global celebration by registering it on the yoga portal. In a landmark celebration of the International Day of Yoga, Sri Lanka witnessed synchronized yoga performances across 117 Ayurveda institutions on Thursday, marking one of the country's most extensive yoga outreach efforts to date. Organized by the cultural arm of High Commission of India, the Swami Vivekananda Cultural Centre, in partnership with Sri Lanka's Department of Ayurveda, the initiative brought together 113 Ayurveda hospitals and 4 universities in a coordinated celebration of holistic health and wellness.
On this International Day of Yoga, just before we are going to observe the International Day of Yoga on 21st of June on Saturday, we joined the global community, more particularly the Sri Lankan community, in celebrating the timeless wisdom and holistic practices of yoga, an invaluable gift from the ancient Indian tradition.
Speaking about the yoga performances, Commissioner General of Ayurveda, Dr. Dhamika Abhay Gunawardene, thanked Prime Minister Narendra Modi for taking yoga to the international community.
India-Sri Lanka's relation is more than 1,000 years, but as the Honorable Narendra Modi ji introduced that the yoga program to this globe, I think why there the wisdom if that the practice of the yoga, that is the marvelous activity, and I especially thank for the Narendra Modi ji to introduce to the not in the Sri Lanka but other countries. Now all the people they know what is the yoga. If we practice the yoga, and after that we can go to the our spiritual way.
Now, from the ancient lands of India to the bustling metropolises across the globe, yoga has transcended its origins to become a worldwide phenomenon. DD India reporter Paulami Burman brings us a special report from Tokyo, where this traditional Indian practice has found a significant following.
Here, in the heart of Tokyo, amidst the vibrant energy of Japan, the ancient Indian practice of yoga has truly flourished. Born years ago in the spiritual traditions of India, yoga's journey across continents is a testament to its universal appeal. offering not just physical exercise but a pathway to mental calm and spiritual well-being. The Indian Embassy in Japan also plays a very important role in promoting yoga, fostering cultural ties between the two nations. From organizing Yoga Day curtain raiser to regular yoga classes at the embassy. The ambassador of India to Japan highlighted the initiatives taken and the surprising similarities that connect these two great nations and their cultures.
Buddhism, India Connect, Daikokuten, Mahakal, India Connect, Lord Ganesha is worshipped and respected all across the Japan. So there is not that huge difference. Of course, it's a different country, different civilization, but we have a huge cultural connect. And, talk about the food. I mean, one of their main food is from India. So there is this connect between the two countries, which we continue to cherish and build upon that.
But beyond anything else, it's the personal stories of transformation that truly underscore yoga's impact here. We spoke to several Japanese practitioners about their journey and what kept them coming back to the mat.
After my daughter was born, the trigger for learning yoga was noticing the weakness in my body. And as I practicing yoga, I was surprised to discover that yoga philosophy is very similar to Buddhist ways of thinking.
To understand the depth of yoga's embrace in Japan, we spoke with renowned Japanese yoga expert Ken Harakuma, who has been practicing yoga for decades now and runs over 6 yoga studios in the heart of Tokyo.
I used to work with a trading company. Then every day is working so hard and feels very stressed. And one day I met the teacher from America. So I took the one yoga session and I felt very difficult feeling from the relaxation, which is called Shavasana. Lots of Japanese have the stress. Then the stress releasing is very good from the yoga.
Standing here in this serene corner of Tokyo, it's clear that the journey of yoga has been more than just geographical. It has been a journey into the hearts and minds of people across the globe, offering ancient wisdom for modern challenges. This is Paulomi Burman reporting from Tokyo for DD India.
Time now to quickly take a short break. We'll be right back, but coming up on the other side. Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulates international master Divya Deshmukh after historic victory over world number 1 Porfirio Frank. And England named playing 11 for the first test against India. Short break, you're watching DD India News Hour. Well, India has recorded its strongest presence yet in the QS World University Rankings 2026. 54 Indian institutions are included in the list. This shows a significant jump from 46 in 2025 and 45 in the year 2024. This 390% increase from just 11 ranked universities in 2014 makes India the fastest growing higher education system among the G20 countries and the 4th most represented nation in the rankings. At the top of the pack is Indian Institute of Technology, IIT Delhi. while IIT Delhi is holding 123rd position in 2026, which in 2025 stood at 150, and in 2024 back it stood at 197. On the other hand, IIT Bombay remains in top 130 and continues to score highly on employer reputation. IIT Madras scored one of the most dramatic improvements in 2026, jumped 47 places to reach the 180th spot. Other top-performing Indian institutions include IIT Kharagpur, IISc Bangalore and IIT Kanpur. Among non-IITs, our Delhi University stood at 328th position and Anna University at 465th position, featuring in the top 500. The inclusion of 8 new Indian universities in the 2026 edition, which is also more than any other country and signals a broader institutional momentum. Prime Minister Narendra Modi welcomed the QS World University Rankings 2026 as a testament to India's growing stature in global education and research system. He affirmed the government's commitment to furthering research and innovation ecosystems for the benefit of Indian youth. Moving on, the Create in India Challenge, launched by India's Ministry of Information and Broadcasting as part of WAVES 2025, has emerged as a transformative platform to identify and elevate India's creative talent onto the global stage. Now, one of its standout success stories, Desi On, a film by celebrated animation filmmaker Sri Suresh, has brought international acclaim to Indian animation by winning the Jury Award for Best Commissioned Film at the International Animation Festival in France. Widely regarded as the world's most prestigious stage for animation, this rare and monumental victory placed the Indian animation on the world map. Desi On was recently crowned Best Film at the WAVES Awards of Excellence, India's leading animation and design recognition platform under Create in India Challenge. In addition to the honour, the film has also been shortlisted at Cannes Lions 2025 in the Filmcraft Lions category, making it a landmark achievement for India's animation industry. Maker of the film, Suresh, termed the award a huge honour for Indian animation industry at the global platform.
It's definitely a huge honour to win at Annecy, which is considered Oscar for animation. And it's a rare achievement for an Indian film to be there, and we are very happy that we could bring home that award to India. Desi Un is a film that won at WAVES. It was one of the gold winners, and I think it really inspires the whole movement of Create in India Challenge, and I wish Indian filmmakers can make our presence felt in more global platforms like this with the films that we create in this country, for this country.
You're watching DD India News Hour, and now it's time to get you all the latest action from the world of sports. Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated international master Divya Deshmukh days after her historic performance in the Blitz semi-finals of FIDE World Rapid and Blitz Championship 2025. The 19-year-old prodigy from Nagpur showcased nerves of steel and tactical brilliance to beat world number 1 Hu Yifan in Blitz semi-finals on Monday. She clinched a 74-move victory in a tense Rook versus Bishop endgame that has now become the talk of the chess world. In a social media post on X, Prime Minister Modi congratulated her, saying, and I quote him here, "Congratulations to Divya Deshmukh on defeating world number 1 Hu Yifan in the second leg of Blitz semi-final at the World Team Blitz Championship, London. Her success highlights her grit and determination. It also inspires many upcoming chess players. Best wishes for her future endeavours." Unquote. In cricket, England have named their team for the first test of the 5-match series against India. England retained Ollie Pope instead of Jacob Bethel, while Chris Wokes and Bryden Carrs returns to the team for their match in Leeds. Meanwhile, all-rounder Wokes returns to the team for the first time since December. Bryden, who has played 5 tests for England, will get an opportunity to impress on home turf for the first time. Other notable names in the squad include top-order batsmen Zach Foley, Ben Duckett and Joe Root. Ben Stokes England-led England will face India in the first test on Friday. Meanwhile, England batter and former captain Joe Root has said that their current opponents, India, have all bases covered ahead of their 5-match test series against England. Root said that India has made phenomenal progress as a team across all formats and they have all their bases covered. Root's first major test challenge this year would be the 5-test series against India starting on Friday in Leeds. But after that, from late November onwards, he will be featured in the away Ashes in Australia, aiming to win their first away series against arch rivals since 2010-2011. In soccer, Valverde missed a stoppage time penalty as Real Madrid was held to a 1-1 draw by Saudi Arabia's Al Hilal in FIFA Club World Cup 2025. Gonzalo Garcia gave Madrid an early lead, but Ruben levelled from the spot before half-time. Al Hilal showed defensive grit and enough attacking intent to rattle their illustrious opponents. Madrid was handed their chance at victory when VAR spotted a foul by Al Hilal's Mohamed Al-Akhtani on Franz Garcia in the box. Although Federico Valverde missed the stoppage time, but penalty that eventually held Real Madrid to a draw. Meanwhile, substitute Karim header lifted RB Salzburg to a 2-1 victory over Pachuca in a FIFA Club World Cup Group H clash in Cincinnati. Oscar Glauc's 42nd minute curling strike from outside the box had opened the scoring for the Austrian side, and Brian Gonzalez drew the Mexican outfit level with a stunning free kick in the 56th minute before Onisivo sealed victory 20 minutes later. Salzburg climbed to the top of Group H after Real and Al Hilal drew 1-1 in their tournament opener in Miami Gardens. And that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from the country and the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download it right now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Deepening from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you so much for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.